Hey guys, it's your boy Brain T. Welcome to day 106 of Workout Grind. It's your boy Brain T. If I haven't mentioned that before, it's currently 7:36 in the morning. And it's a Wednesday. I woke up at 6:30. For the rest of the 1 hour, it's me making eggs, making my protein shake, drinking my tablets, cleaning up my room a bit just for in preparation for this workout, taking a big ass shit that for some reason is pink colored. I don't know what the fuck that is all about. And sunbathing because apparently, according to Andrew Huberman, first 15 minutes of your fucking wake up hours should be dedicated to um exposure to sun to increase your cortisol levels in a healthy amount to start your day. I don't know. I'm just following orders. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. Anyways, I'm just gonna set up a timer here. I'm gonna be working at the usual 15 hours thingy. And I'm gonna watch YouTube. Maybe I do Huberman. I missed the guy. Timer. This time. I'm really gassy today, brother. I don't know why, but I am. What the fuck? Timer. There you go. Perfect. What the? Oh wow, look at the animation in that shit. What the fuck? Yo. I I downloaded 132 gigs of updates to make my timer a little bit fancy. Crazy that.
Adobe Acrobat Studio is all new. PDF spaces with AI to do your marketing needs in one spot.
Yeah.
An AI assistant, show me what you got. AI breakdowns on trend report and marketing insights on the rise of shop.
All right, let's go. I also cleaned up my my thing, my earphones for the microphone thing. So I think because of that, it also increased the accuracy levels of it. So it's noise canceling because it's highly dependent on motivation and drive. Learning. Sure, go ahead. Hey, I slap. Hey, I slap. Hmm?
And science-based tools for everyday life.
Yes, sir.
I'm Andrew Huberman, and I'm a professor of neurobiology and ophthalmology at Stanford School of Medicine. My guest today is Dr. David Eagleman. Dr. David Eagleman is a neuroscientist, a best-selling author, and a longtime science public educator. Today, we discuss several different features of brain science that impact your everyday life. And once you understand the mechanisms behind these features, it will position you to make better decisions and, if you choose, to rewire your brain to be a more effective learner. We start by discussing neuroplasticity, which is your brain's ability to change in response to experience or any form of deliberate learning that you are trying to impose on yourself. We talk about the mechanisms for it and how you can get better at learning and unlearning in the context of skills and information. We also discuss memory formation and the relationship between stress and time perception and why it is that people experience things in slow motion if those things are very stressful or traumatic, and how that can be useful for undoing traumatic memories. David also takes us through the neuroscience of cultural and political polarization, something that's very timely right now, false memories, deja vu, dreams, and the meaning of dreams, and a lot more. David is an absolutely legendary science communicator. I say this as a fellow neuroscientist. He is able to embed factual information about the brain into real-life stories, and in doing so, he's able to shed light on how we work as humans and how we can all improve our life experience. He's a true virtuoso of neuroscience and science education more generally. What David shares with us today will change the way that you think about thinking and your own mind, and no doubt will also change the way that you view the world. Before we begin, I'd like to emphasize that this podcast is separate from my teaching and research roles at Stanford. It is, however, part of my desire and effort to bring zero cost to consumer information about science and science-related tools to the general public. In keeping with that theme, today's episode does include sponsors. And now for my discussion with Dr. David Eagleman. Dr. David Eagleman, welcome.
Thanks. Great to see you, Andrew.
Man, I feel like the kid that was a freshman when you were a senior, because you got into this public-facing science education long before I did, and you've had an amazing career also in your laboratory work. And today, I want to talk about all of it.
Great.
By mostly listening and you doing the talking. And there's so many topics in neuroscience that are fascinating, as you know, but I think perhaps the most fascinating thing about the human brain is its ability to change itself.
Yeah.
Plasticity. So I know how I think about neuroplasticity. I want to know how you think about neuroplasticity, what it is and how we should think about it and what we could possibly do with that information.
Okay, great. I mean, this was Mother Nature's big trick with humans, was figuring out how to drop a creature into the world with a half-baked brain and then let the world wire up the rest of it. And so, 1953, Crick and Watson, I worked with Crick at the Salk. They burst into the Eagle and Child pub and said, we've discovered the secret to life, because they figured out the structure of DNA. But that was really half the secret of life, because the other half is all around us. It's every bit of experience that you have. It's your culture, it's your language, it's your neighborhood. All of that stuff gets absorbed by the brain and wires us up. And I often think about this issue of, what if you were born 30,000 years ago, exactly your DNA, you pop out and you look around, and the question is, would you be you? The answer is you wouldn't be. You'd look maybe similar because of the same genetic blueprint, but you would have a different culture and a different language and different stories and all that stuff. You'd be a very different kind of person. So brain plasticity, for anyone who doesn't know, it's that the brain is constantly reconfiguring itself every second of your life. You got 86 billion neurons, and really the way to think about it is these are like little creatures that are all crawling around and moving around. Each one is, on average contacting 10,000 of its neighbors, but it's not like a fixed thing like you might see in a textbook. Instead, they're, plugging and unplugging and searching around and finding new places to plug in, and of course, changing the strength of those connections. And I actually always find this weird. It's like having all these little creatures in your head that are slithering around. But that's what makes us absorb every single thing in our worlds. And this is what, humans have that other creatures have less of. And that's why we've taken over every corner of the earth. That's why we've gotten off the planet. We build skyscrapers and compose symphonies and so on, because each generation we land and we get to spend our first few years absorbing everything that's been discovered before us. And then we springboard off of that and do something new, because we are able to figure out all the discoveries that have come before us because of this ability to reconfigure our own circuitry. And, if you were an alligator born 30,000 years ago, you'd be the same alligator, eat, mate, swim, whatever, and you wouldn't be meaningfully different. But humans, because of our flexibility, we are the dominant species.
It's such an interesting take on time and human evolution that, and I completely agree with you. I just had never thought about it this way before, that we land when we're born and we're absorbing the outcroppings of all the neuroplasticity that came before us. We often hear that, the human brain is kind of like a macaque monkey brain with a supercomputer added on top of it, mostly the prefrontal cortex, a bit more prefrontal cortex.
It's actually cortex in general.
Interesting.
Well, we have 4 times as much cortex as our nearest neighbors in the animal kingdom. And that seems to be the magical stuff.
Not just prefrontal cortex.
Right. And I'm sure the listenership knows this, but the cortex is just the outer 3 millimeters of the brain. It's that wrinkly bit. And that's the magic stuff, because it turns out cortex is a one-trick pony. The reason the cortex looks the same everywhere is because it is the same. It's got the same circuitry. It's got 6 little layers. It's doing the same algorithms. And it gets defined by what you plug into it. So if you plug in a cable that's carrying visual information, then it becomes visual cortex. And we look at it and we say, oh, look, it detects the orientation of lines and it detects motion, things like that. If you plug auditory information into it, it becomes auditory cortex and so on. And it turns out, the way we do this in textbooks is we make a picture and we say, look, that's visual cortex, that's auditory, that's somatosensory. But all this stuff is really flexible. It's so much more interesting than the textbook model, because you can take the fibers and plug them in somewhere else. So you may know this study in 2000 by Mrugangka Sur at MIT, where he, in a ferret, took the visual information, the optic nerve, and he plugged it into into the auditory cortex. And then what would have been the auditory cortex became visually responsive, and it started caring about vision. So what does that mean? It means the cortex is a one-trick pony, and we got so much more of it, including the prefrontal cortex. So that has 2 major effects. One is that there's a lot more room with our species in between input and output. So with a squirrel or a cat or even a macaque monkey, you throw some food in front of it, that sensory cortex is right next to the motor cortex. It's going to eat the thing. But we've got all this computational real estate in between in and out. So we can say, well, I'm on a diet, I'm trying, whatever. I'll eat it later. We've got all these other options that we can take. That's one thing. And then the other thing is exactly what you pointed to, which is the prefrontal cortex, which allows us to simulate what ifs, allows us to think about possible futures, simulate things in a way that we don't have to risk our lives doing it. We can simulate it and say, oh, that would be a bad idea. Oh, that'd be a pretty good idea. And then we can take the action.
Couple different questions. I'm a big fan of Mrugangka's work, and I'm so glad you mentioned that work. It really points to the fact that while there are cortical areas that are genetically devoted by virtue of wiring when we arrive in the world to auditory or visual, that there's a lot of crossover, especially in the extreme cases. So my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, is that if somebody is blind from birth, the real estate that would be allocated to vision becomes allocated to tactile sensation, especially if they learn how to braille read.
I forgot. Dumbbell. Slap kicks. How? Dumbbell slap kicks look like. Yeah, okay.
After playing that, I feel like we could ask each other anything.
Hey, Mum, how many people have you pashed?
Upwards of 4 and downwards of 46.
Play online. Live better with Medibank.
Blah, 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 blah.
My lower back. So, again, further I reach out.
Maybe auditory processing, and because they rely on it more. So there's really no blank real estate in the cortex. It's all used.
That is exactly right. So it turns out, people who are born blind, what we call the visual cortex, the back of the head here, that gets taken over. It's no longer visual. It becomes devoted to hearing, to touch, to memory, things like this. And you can demonstrate that people who are born blind are better at hearing and at touch and so on. They can discriminate things much more finely. Same with people who go deaf. That the auditory cortex, all that.
Okay. Doesn't really hit that much.
Harder the exercise is going to be. Higher I have my legs, the easier. Higher I have the dumbbell, easier. Okay? So you want to make sure, no matter how hard you make the exercise, you always have that lower back pushing in, and then as you get more comfortable and accustomed to the exercise, you can start to bring that dumbbell down or start to lower your legs down Another thing with the legs is, as you're doing it, try and make sure they stay nice and straight and you don't have any bend through the knees to really get a good stretch through your hip flexors.
Okay. I think this is more relevant.
Imagine being able to build an app with your name on it, just by thinking about it. Meet Base 44, a complete AI creation.
I have spent
Oh, yeah.
an unhealthy amount of time programming with AI, and I want to share all the tips and tricks I've learned after spending hundreds of hours programming with AI, just so you don't have to waste your precious time, because I assume you actually have a life, unlike me, and so you can get the same benefits as I do, because a lot of people have been saying they've gotten good results with AI and bad results with AI, and after spending a lot of hours not going outside, not touching grass, I think I finally figured out how to get consistently good results with it. It's definitely better than before, I will say. I'm still learning how this tool works, but I at least want to share what I've learned so far with you. So knowing this, let's start with the first tip. Oh, and this video is sponsored by JetBrains. Tip number 1, learn how to program first. Yes, it's an obvious tip, painfully obvious, but I'm gonna say it anyway because apparently it needs to be said. If you want AI to be useful at programming, you need to know how to fucking program. This isn't rocket science, this isn't controversial, it's just facts. As of right now, AI is a multiplier, albeit a small multiplier.
Okay, I need to pull up because I'm not sure again if I'm doing it right. Dumbbell pull over. Okay.
All the way down for the stretch.
Right.
And you don't have to come all the way up just about to neutral where gravity is no longer pulling the dumbbell. And make sure if you use heavier dumbbells, you prop your feet into something that's not moving.
But still a multiplier. It multiplies what you already know. You can't outsource your brain to AI if you don't have a brain in the first place. Tip number 2, be as specific as humanly possible. I believe most people are not specific enough with AI, and I assume that's one of the big reasons why they get bad results. And now that I think about it, programmers aren't exactly known for their communication skills, so this actually makes sense, which means unfortunately for you, you better start watching some communication tutorials because those skills matter now. Because AI is only as good as the context you give it. And I decided to run a quick experiment to prove it to you. I told AI to build a Google Docs clone 3 times, and each time I gave AI more information to see what happens. And I did this experiment with JetBrains' AI assistant.
Ain't no way, bro. I just started, bro. Greg curls. Fine.
Junie, because Junie actually has some safeguards to prevent you from doing level 1, the smooth brain. If you talk to AI like this, you deserve the bad results. The prompt I'm gonna give it, build Google Docs. That's it. If AI can build a decent version of Google Docs with just this, I'd be impressed and terrified, since this would basically replace programmers. But I'll tell you this already, it's not. So please, don't ever prompt AI like this. Don't do it. Level 2, the average person. More details, but they're not technical. This is usually how most people prompt the AI, but I'm honestly being generous because I don't think most people actually put this much detail. They're kind of a mix between level 1 and level 2. Level 3, the ideal. Now, if you're serious about using AI, or you seriously want to improve the performance of it, this is how you should be prompting it, based on my experience and based on best practices from the actual AI companies. For this prompt, I'm giving it full technical details, the exact tech stack, how things should work, terminal commands, basically information that only a programmer would know. Brace yourself, we're about to go through a lot of tips. I've also included documentation, screenshots of how I want it to look, since it's easier to show a design rather than explaining it, and I also gave it links that it can reference. Now, there's still a lot of problems with this prompt, and we can do even better. before, but I'll talk about that later. People are always like, why should I use AI when I can just Google it in 5 seconds? And personally, this always confused me a bit because why not do both? Find the resources and solution you need and give it to AI. AI assistants can actually visit the web. And a lot of companies are starting to recognize this because they have a thing called an LLMs.txt page, which is documentation that's formatted for AI. And then you can let it write the code using the information from the resources. It saves you time from typing, but I'm lazy, so that's a personal preference. Oh, and a quick life hack for you lazy people. You can write a simple prompt, but make sure it has all the technical information. And once you have that, tell AI to enhance the prompt with LLM best practices. AI is going to make your prompt more detailed and it's going to perform better. The results of level 1, nothing. Junie actually asked for more information, which impressed me a lot because this is how a real developer should respond when you give it zero information. Most AI tools would just assume everything and then vomit out code. So I am very happy to see that JetBrains added safeguards to this. While it did fail the task, it's better than giving me slop, which honestly makes Junie better than most AI tools. So if you're one of the people that actually prompt like this, I definitely recommend using Junie since you'll be forced to use better prompts and actually communicate with the AI because no sloppy is better than bad sloppy. Am I right, fellas? Results of level 2. Now with this much information, Junie did actually start building. It created a plan and scaffolded the app, which is pretty nice. Now the results. Yeah, errors, zero styling, and it didn't even run at first. It looks like HTML threw up on my screen. I did have to spend some disgusting human effort to fix it, but here's the interesting part. Once I fixed it, it actually had most of the features I asked for. It's just, what's the word I'm looking for? In development. Yeah, we'll go with that. So what went wrong with this prompt? Well, it's not that Junie was bad, it's that I didn't give it enough technical context to make good decisions. Junie had to guess all the technical implementations, the tech stack, how to handle WebSockets, and it didn't even attempt to style it since we didn't tell it how. And when AI has to guess architecture, you're more likely to get bad output, and you're more likely to get catfish code. Code that looks good at first glance, but when you look deeper, it's disgusting. Now the results of level 3. It actually ran. First try. No errors. All the features I asked for worked. The styling was better. It's not perfect, but overall, it's way better. And the code itself, pretty good. It's code that I would basically write since I gave it all the documentation and resources that I would personally use to write the code myself. So what does this mean? Well, the difference between AI is useless and AI is incredible might not be the AI. It might be you, specifically how well you communicate what you want. But as you can tell, even with this much detail, Junie didn't get everything right. There's still some problems. And this isn't just because the information wasn't detailed enough. You can always add more details, but it's also because I was asking it to do too much at once. A lot of people say AI is great at small tasks, but it's not that good at big complex tasks. So why not use that to your advantage? This is a tip from everybody. The smaller the task, the better the results. If we already know that AI is good at small tasks, why not break a big task into smaller tasks? And if you can't break it down, you don't understand the problem well enough yet. And this isn't an AI trick. This is just fundamental engineering. Even before AI, this is what you should have been doing. Planning out a solution, breaking the problem down into smaller pieces, and then coding it. This is called problem solving and critical thinking, if you didn't know. The only difference now is that you can be the one to code it or have AI code it. And for me, most times, I'm pretty lazy. I would rather have AI code it. I still have to figure out the solution. I just don't type it out. Once again, personal preference. I'm just lazy. And disclaimer, if I do see AI making a mistake with the code, I'll manually fix it. Now here's what's interesting. If you follow this workflow, you actually end up with a good detailed prompt that you can give to AI already. And whenever I did this workflow, AI was pretty good. And I know what some of you are thinking. Oh, I thought AI was supposed to make our job easier. I don't want to have to think of the solution myself. I don't want to do thinking at all. AI should be able to do everything. And I see where you're coming from. It's a little grim because that would then replace us, but it's just not there yet. I understand what it's supposed to do in the future, but we're not in the future, are we? We're in the present right now. And I'm trying to make it work in the present. I want to make the tool work in the current state that it is. And I really wish you do the same. But in its current state, do not let AI do all the thinking for you. I'm personally okay with letting AI type for you, but I'm not okay with letting AI think for you. Because the moment you let AI think for you, you're useless. And that's just the honest truth. You're not applying any of your skills that you've learned. What's the point of you being there? Now, in the meantime, while you think about your self-worth, let's move on to slop. Everybody that uses AI for programming will one day encounter slop. The good news is there are ways to reduce slop. We've already talked about it with detailed prompts, but there are other methods, and you won't believe this one. It's revolutionary. All you have to do is tell AI what you don't want. I know, insane, never been done. I'm really innovative. Here's a pattern that you could use right now. Number 1, the task. Remember to be as descriptive as possible. Number 2, background information, files, documentation, and images. And then number 3, the do not section. I have gotten so much better results with this. In the Google Docs clone, I want to add a commenting functionality, just like how Google Docs does it. I click the comment button, it opens up this little panel, and when there's text on the page, it'll have this add a comment button, and when I press it, it'll highlight the line, and I can add my comment. And I prompted Junie using this 3-section pattern. Number 1 has the task, and as you can see, it is very detailed. Number 2 has the background information, useful documentation, any files, and multiple images that show the user flow and styling. And then number 3, the do not section, which has what not to touch, what not to change, and the only things it should be modifying. And with this 3-section pattern, I got amazing results. It did exactly that. Pretty impressive for like a quick little 3-minute prompt, way faster than if I typed it. And I'd personally prefer 10 minutes of problem solving and prompting over 30 minutes to an hour of problem solving and coding. And I'll say this again because some of you just can't listen sometimes. Personal preference. I'm lazy. Now this pattern is great. It works really well. You can try it for yourself and let me know. Link is in the description. But we're not done yet. There's another strategy you can do to reduce the amount of mistakes AI makes. And this one's also revolutionary. You won't believe it. Tell AI to remember. I know, it's crazy. For programming tools, this will be in markdown files. For Junie, you would use a guidelines.md file or an agents.md file. And this file is amazing. It's beautiful. I love using this file. This file should have all your project information, what the project is about, the tech stack, any important commands, the workflow, project specific information. It should be in this file. And you can either create this yourself or you can even tell AI to generate it by itself. It'll analyze the code base, get an overview of what the project is, and it'll put it in the file. But if you don't want to write it or you don't want AI to write it, there are templates online. You can find one based off the tech stack you're using and paste it in there. And if you're really specific for certain technologies, you can create separate rules files for each type of technology. And if you're lazy like me, a lot of companies already have rule templates for their tools. And I 100% recommend copy and pasting those into the project if you're using them. Our next tip, MCPs will save your life. Now, if you don't know what MCP stands for, it stands for Model Context Protocol. There's a lot of videos out there. You can watch one, but overall, it's just tools that can extend what AI can actually do. They're also really easy to use. You just go to the MCP tab in the settings and you just copy and paste the information. As of right now, my favorite MCPs are number 1, Context 7. This lets AI fetch documentation automatically, which means I don't have to copy and paste the same documentation for the 50th time. AI can just grab it when it needs it. Second MCP I really like is the Next.js Developer Tools MCP. This gives AI information about your Next.js app, so things like build errors, project state, page metadata, developer logs, overall just useful information that AI can use on your projects. The third MCP I like to use is the Chrome Developer Tools MCP. This lets AI have access to the Chrome Dev Tools, so it can look at things like layout shifts, performance, the information. As of right now, my favorite MCPs are number 1, Context 7. This lets AI fetch documentation automatically, which means I don't have to copy and paste the same documentation for the 50th time. AI can just grab it when it needs it. Second MCP I really like is the Next.js Developer Tools MCP. This gives AI information about your Next.js app, so things like build errors, project state, page metadata, developer logs, overall just useful information that AI can use on your projects. The third MCP I like to use is the Chrome Developer Tools MCP. This lets AI have access to the Chrome Dev Tools, so it can look at things like layout shifts, performance, console errors, network requests, everything in the Dev Tools. It's great. Now, I mainly do web development, so these MCPs are perfect for me, but they might not work for you. Find the MCPs that work for your tech stack. There's lots of MCPs out there for databases, cloud services, third-party software. Whatever you're building, there's probably an MCP for it. The point here isn't to use my tools. You can if you want. I just want to bring awareness that these tools do exist, because once you find the right combination of MCP tools for your project, it makes a world of a difference. I promise you. Next tip, always give AI a way to verify its work. AI should never just write code. It also needs a way to verify the code. Tests, running the app in the browser, CLI commands, CI/CD pipelines, literally anything that can prove the code works. You can create these tests, CI/CD pipelines, a way to verify its work. AI should never just write code. It also needs a way to verify the code. Tests, running the app in the browser, CLI commands, CI/CD pipeline, literally anything that can prove the code works. You can create these tests or verification methods yourself, or if you're lazy, just like me, you can tell AI to generate them for you and make sure they all pass. Now, for front-end and design-related tasks, I do recommend having an MCP tool, and for any type of verification method you do, always verify that it's working correctly, especially if you let AI generate it. After spending this much time with AI, that it's working correctly, especially if you let AI generated. After spending this much time with AI coding tools, I've noticed some patterns about who this actually helps and who it doesn't. The programmers who benefit the most from AI are the ones who already have good habits. Every tip I've shown you throughout this entire video, being specific, breaking down tasks, telling AI what not to do, telling it to remember, making it verify its work, those are all fundamentals of good engineering and leadership. AI doesn't replace those skills, it amplifies them. But if you have bad habits, you skip tests, you don't document anything, you're not thinking about edge cases, them. But if you have bad habits, you skip tests, you don't document anything, you're not thinking about edge cases, AI is going to amplify those bad habits too. I could be wrong, I don't know. But here's what I want for you. I want you to be prepared. There are developers who are learning to work with AI effectively, and I'm trying to learn from these developers, and I hope you do too. It's better to be over-prepared than under-prepared, right? If you want to get started with AI assistant development, try out Junie. I've been using it for a while now. I've shown you by building this Google Docs clone, and it could become one of those tools that are part of your daily workflow. It has some safeguards for bad prompts. They have pre-made templates you can use to prompt the AI. It's integrated in JetBrains ecosystem. Overall, Junie is great. If you want to try it out, link is in the description. Give it a real project and see if the tips that I gave you today work like they did for me. I'm just trying to figure out how this tool works, and I hope you do the same. But other than that, I'll see you in the next video. Bye.
Imagine being able to build anything just by thinking about it. Meet Base 44.
In 2023, AI lived in chat windows. In 2024, AI moved closer to the code inside your editor. In 2025, AI became the core of the development workflow, from generating entire apps to refactoring code bases and occasionally breaking things with great confidence. Heading into 2026, one thing is clear. AI will reshape how we build software. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through the AI coding tools we're taking a serious look at in 2026. And at the end, I'm going to share 3 pro tips to get dramatically better output from AI coding tools. Let's start with our first category, AI IDEs. Cursor is still the one to beat. It's VS Code rebuilt with AI at its core. Press Tab for smart completions or use Command K for inline edits. You can switch between 4 modes to get the best out of AI. Agent for autonomous multi-line edits, Plan for detailed planning, Debug for bug fixing, and Ask for read-only exploration. Choose Cursor if you want deep AI inside your IDE without giving up control or changing how you already work. Next is Builder.io. It is a visual AI IDE designed for entire product teams. It connects directly to your codebase and design system and adds a Figma-like visual layer for front-end heavy work and cross-team collaboration. You can also turn Jira tickets and Slack conversations directly into code changes. Choose Builder if you work on a team and want AI to work across design, product, and engineering instead of just inside one person's editor. I work at Builder, so full disclosure there, but I can personally take your feedback and pass it along to the team. Few other notable mentions in this category are VS Code with GitHub Copilot, Google's Antigravity, and Z and Z. Category are VS Code with GitHub Copilot, Google's Antigravity, and Z. For our second category, let's talk about conversational assistants. ChatGPT is still the most flexible general-purpose coding assistant, but with architectural decisions or high-risk refactors. Claude is one app that I never close. A third option is Gemini from Google. I've heard good things about the newer models, so definitely for writing fast and creating prototypes, but less suited for mature production code bases with team collaboration. First, we have Replit, which has grown from a lightweight browser IDE into a full-stack AI development environment. Second, we have Lovable, which focuses on generating code
What the fuck is this, Apple? Are you vibe coding? What is this? What is this? Ah, bruh, you vibe coded, bruh. What the fuck, bruh?
Technologies, you can create separate rules files for each type of technology. And if you're lazy like me, a lot of companies already have rule templates for their tools. And
real estate, nothing lies fallow in the brain. All that gets taken over for different tasks, and they can do things like see your accent. Just by lip reading, they can tell where in the country you're from, and so on. All of this demonstrates that, first of all, the more real estate you have, the better. We are, in a sense, if you've got all your senses, you have to share everything. And so we're pretty good at vision and hearing and touch and so on, but everything has to get shared. But there are pretty extraordinary things that happen when people devote more real estate towards one task. And by the way, just as a side note, this is one hypothesis about what goes on with savantism in autism, is that somebody, for whatever genetic set of reasons, ends up devoting a ton of real estate to, let's say, the Rubik's Cube or the piano or memorizing visual scenes or something, and then they are absolutely superhuman at it. That comes at the cost of other things, let's say social skills that might be needed. But the general story is if you devote a lot of real estate towards something, you're going to get really good at it.
I'm excited to share with you that Matina, the yerba mate drink that I helped create, is now available at Sprouts Market nationwide. Longtime listeners of the Huberman Lab podcast know that yerba mate is my preferred caffeine source. It provides a smooth energy lift without giving you the jitters, and it has many other benefits, such as helping regulate blood sugar, improving digestion, mild appetite suppression, and more. Matina is my absolute favorite of all the yerba mate brands out there, and believe me, I've tried them all. The flavors are fantastic. I drink at least 3 cans of Matina every single day. You'll often see them on the table during our podcast recordings. I absolutely love the product, and I'm proud to now have it sold at Sprouts Market. Also, there's a great new offer. They are giving away a free can of Matina to anyone who buys it at Sprouts and sends in a photo of their receipt. To learn more about how you can get a free can of Matina, go to drinkmatina.com/offer. Again, that's drinkmatina.com/offer to get a can of Matina for free at your local Sprouts Market. Today's episode is also brought to us by Rora. Rora makes what I believe are the best water filters on the market. It's an unfortunate reality, but tap water often contains
We got another shit. Let's go.
Contaminants that negatively impact our health. In fact, a 2020 study by the Environmental Working Group estimated that more than 200 million Americans are exposed to PFAS chemicals, also known as forever chemicals, through drinking of tap water. These forever chemicals are linked to serious health issues, such as hormone disruption, gut microbiome disruption, fertility issues, and many other health problems. The Environmental Working Group has also shown that over 122 million Americans drink tap water with high levels of chemicals known to cause cancer. It's for all these reasons that I'm thrilled to have Rora as a sponsor of this podcast. I've been using the Rora countertop system for almost a year now. Rora's filtration technology removes harmful substances, including endocrine disruptors and disinfection byproducts, while preserving beneficial minerals like magnesium and calcium. It requires no installation or plumbing. It's built from medical-grade stainless steel, and its sleek design fits beautifully on your countertop. In fact, I consider it a welcome addition to my kitchen. It looks great, and the water is delicious. If you'd like to try Rora, you can go to rora.com/Huberman and get an exclusive discount. Again, that's Rora, RORRA.com/Huberman. I don't know if you saw this study that was published in Science recently that explored early specialization in sport or creative endeavor versus kids that played a bunch of different sports or involved in a bunch of different creative endeavors. And it turns out that specializing too early, on average, doesn't play out so well in terms of peak of success later. Now, there are exceptions, right? But turns out that being a bit more diversified in your physical activitis and cognitive activities as a young person, into the early teens even, and beyond, is more beneficial. And this to me kind of runs counter to my images of like Tiger Woods putting golf balls with his dad when he was, kind of still waddling. He was so little, right? And then he becomes Tiger Woods, or the Williams sisters who were, like tennis early on. I think that especially in the United States, we have this notion that early specialization is really what sets you up to be spectacularly good later. So I'm curious what your general thoughts are for the every person. I mean, you have kids, and some of us still are kids who are listening, and we all have plasticity into adulthood. Do you think that we come into the world with some genetic leanings toward particular activities being right for us or more right for us? And how do you think about it in terms of how many difficult, hard to access things we do just so that we're sure that we have a full experience of life? Because what I hear you saying, and I totally subscribe to, is that our early experience becomes the funnel through which we have more or less opportunity later. Like the kind of width of the funnel depends on how many things we did or didn't do early on.
So this is really interesting because, first of all, take somebody like the Williams sisters. They got drilled on tennis from day one, and this stuff can be taught, and this is why they became champions. And this is obvious, but this is the same what you find with chess champions and golf champions like Woods and so on. You have to really spend the time doing it. Now, I find this interesting for a few reasons. One is that cognitively, you can understand how to, what a forehand or a backhand, is a hit in tennis, but to actually get good at it, you have to burn it down into the circuitry. So actually, let me back up for 1 second, which is the reason that we have brain plasticity is because this is how a brain makes things that you do fast and efficient. So when you're doing a task a lot, like serving tennis or something, you're taking that from the software to the hardware of the brain. Let's say I'm an amateur tennis player and there's Serena Williams, I'm playing against her. It turns out, surprisingly, when we're playing, she's beaten me like crazy, but my brain's the one using all the activity. I'm the one burning all the calories with my brain. Why? Because she has burned tennis into the hardware of the brain, so it's fast and efficient. I, on the other hand, am trying to simulate lots of things and figure out where I should go and all that. So the brain does this for reasons of efficiency. Obviously, the brain's main job is to save energy because we are mobile creatures who run on batteries. And so this is one of the big things about plasticity. So people get extraordinarily good by doing things over and over. These three women, the Polgar sisters, who are chess champions, they're the best, to my knowledge, are still the best three female chess players in the world. Their father, from day one, started teaching them how to do chess and so on, and they all became world champions at this. The thing about whether you need to have diversification, that's an interesting question. I can see why it would be useful, because you're learning different ways, different moves about it, in the same way that if you learn how to snowboard and ski, you might get better at both of them. But I gotta say, when children grow up, let's say trilingually, or even bilingually, they end up having a lower vocabulary in both languages than if they grow up monolingually.
Really?
Yeah. It's just because of the amount of practice you get with a language.
Kids still do your second language homework. In California, it's growing up here, it's very useful to know English and some Spanish.
Yeah.
I mean, very, very useful. In fact, I wish I'd gotten better at Spanish when I was a kid.
Claro que sí.
My father's born and raised in Buenos Aires.
Yeah, cool.
But we didn't speak Spanish at home, at least not very much. So, I can tell you, learn a musical instrument and learn a second language. The musical instrument for your own enrichment and those around you. But the second language thing, I think, is extremely...
You know what? Good suggestion, my guy. I'm gonna do that.
Your business is only using 20% of its data. Sure, you could search for the other 80% all over the place, or you can find it in one place, HubSpot, where all the data makes all the difference. Learn more at hubspot.com.
Calm down, bro. Calm down. All right. Temple flutter kick. Okay. Scared me with that note shit. I thought I was gonna read from that. What the fuck? God, it's tabs, bro. What? Oh, okay. What'd you do? Ah, okay. Huh? Wait, so this is 5. Oh shit. Hmm? Huh? Oh shit. Hmm? And this is 5-bit. 3, 4, 5. Oh, right, right. It's 5 things to make everything else is 5. fuck you doing, bro? Huh? 2.5. Okay, we borrowed fifth chord. And then there's 7. What? C, 5, 7. Okay. No. Hello. Yeah! What the? What? No. How many bars? It's 4. We are. Yeah. That. No. No, it's 3 and 4. No. Ah. Fuck. Oh yeah. Oh my god. I fucking wasted my time. Yo, I'm still in the second set, right? Where am I? No. We're at flutter kicks. Really? Pull over. Let's pull over. Fuck. I'm sorry. I can't say this one. I'ma be that soon, bruh. Watch this.
Imagine being able to build an app with your name on it just by thinking about it. Meet Base 44.
If you want to build an app and have no idea how to code or where to start, check out Base 44.
Ating isang kanta. Alam niyo po ba yung kinakanta ni Ruben Tagalog na Awit Ko'y Dinggin?
Opo.
Ganito yun eh.
Awit ko'y dinggin, bintana mo'y buksan, pati na bituin, tila naghihintay. Kailan ba mutiyak aking makakamtan ang pag-asang dulot ng iyong kagandahan. Ang tanging araw nang kita'y makita sa aking puso, laging alaala ka. Kailan ba matiyak aking makakamit ang ligayang dulot ng iyong kagandahan. Ang tanging araw nang kita'y makita sa aking puso, laging alaala ka. Kaya't dinggin mo ang awit ko, sinta, manumaw ka't lunasan yaring ang madlang dusa. Medyo ako nabitin yata doon.
Ang ganda nun. Ganda nun, matino.
We have got to the point where literally anybody can build a fully working app without knowing how to code. This is Base 44.
Alright. I didn't get to do complete 30